بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا بلوناهم كما بلونا أصحاب الجنة إذ أقسموا ليصرمنها مصبحين ولا يستثنون فطاف عليها طائف من ربك وهم نائمون فأصبحت كالصريم فتنادوا مصبحين أن اغدوا على حرثكم إن كنتم صارمين فانطلقوا وهم يتخافتون ألا يدخلنها اليوم عليكم مسكين وغدوا على حرد قادرين فلما رأوها قالوا إنا لضالون بل نحن محرومون قال أوسطهم ألم أقل لكم لولا تسبحون قالوا سبحان ربنا إنا كنا ظالمين فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتلاومون قالوا يا ويلنا إنا كنا طاغين عسى ربنا أن يبدلنا خيرا منها إنا إلى ربنا راغبون كذلك العذاب ولعذاب الآخرة أكبر لو كانوا يعلمون.
Through these ayat of Surah al-Qalam, as explained in the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a parable of the kuffar of Quraysh who rejected the mercy and favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in having Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam sent to them. Instead of accepting the truth that is Islam, they harshly opposed Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in ayah 17 of Surah al-Qalam, "Verily we have tested them," meaning the people of Mecca, as we have tested Ashab al-Jannah, the people of the garden. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the parable of Ashab al-Jannah. Before we move forward with discussing the rest of the recited ayat, it is important to understand that in this context the word al-Jannah refers to a garden. The verse is not referring to the people of paradise. Rather, it is referring to the people of the garden that is mentioned in Surah al-Qalam. The story begins with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealing the plans the people of the garden made for the garden being referenced. They vowed to each other that they would pick the fruits of the garden in the morning to ensure that no poor people or beggars would know of the fruits. Thus their intention was to prevent any of the fruit from being given as charity. It is important to note that they did not say Insha'Allah while they were speaking of their plans for the morning. While they were asleep, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala broke their vow by causing the garden to be destroyed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "So by the morning it became like as-sarim." Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, it means it became like the dark night. Essentially, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished the people of the garden by ensuring that the fruit of the garden was no longer of benefit. They woke up in the morning, and as they went to collect the fruit, they mentioned to each other, "No poor person shall enter upon you into it today." This ayah makes it very clear that their intentions remained the same after they woke up in the morning. The people of the garden still had the intention of ensuring none of the fruits would be charity. They went to the garden assuming they had power, and that exactly what they desired would occur. But when they saw the destroyed fruits, they said, "Verily we have gone astray." They realized that they must have gone down a wrong path, which led them to the predicament they were in with a destroyed garden. However, They then changed their minds and said, or rather we have been deprived, meaning they decided they actually did go down the correct path, but were deprived of harvesting the garden. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the Awsat among them said, did I not say to you, why do you not say insha'Allah? According to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh, it means the most just of them and the best of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes to us their response in ayat 29 to 33 of Surah al-Qalam. They said, glory to our Lord, indeed we have been wrongdoers. Then they turned one against another, blaming, meaning they started blaming each other for the plan to prevent poor people from receiving any fruits from the garden, even though they had all planned together. They responded to each other by confessing their mistakes. They said, woe to us, verily we were transgressors. We hope that our Lord will give us in exchange better than it. Truly we hope in our Lord. Then in the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala contrasts the punishment inflicted on the people of the garden and the punishment in the hereafter. Such is the punishment, and the punishment of the hereafter is greater, if they only knew. Meaning the punishment in the hereafter is harder than the punishment in this life. Now I am going to tie this back to the first ayah I mentioned, which was ayah 17 of Surah al-Qalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, verily we have tested them, meaning the people of Mecca, as we have tested Ashab al-Jannah, the people of the garden, when they swore to pluck its fruits in the morning. Now that we have gone through the story of the people of the garden, we can make sense of the comparison between them and the kuffar of Quraysh. Both the people of the garden and the kuffar of Quraysh responded inappropriately to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed them with. The people of the garden were blessed with a garden that produced fruits, but they reacted with stinginess and greed. Similarly, the Quraysh were blessed with the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. However, they responded with ungratefulness and disbelief by rejecting his message. Let this be a reminder for us all to be grateful for the blessings provided to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is crucial that we understand that Islam is the greatest blessing we can have. In order to appropriately respond to this blessing of Islam, we must take advantage of our opportunities to gain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We must be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and take an active role in spreading the deen of Islam across the world. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to take full advantage of His blessings. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to spread the message of Islam and unite the ummah. Ameen.